I'm looking up your Instagram and I'm seeing maybe super breaking news about someone arriving in your life.
Yeah, I got a baby boy on the way.
How about that? How about that?
Excited. And then I also have a fiance now too.
Nice. Yeah. So this is all kind of happened simultaneously, really close to each other. What was your December and January like? It seems.
So my December was actually spent with mostly her family, going out there. Kind of had already an idea of proposing, and kind of like getting that done. It was more communicating with her parents and family. So we had to get that figured out. Found a ring that I thought was nice enough, and also that I was like, okay, this isn't gonna murder the bank, you know. So I was able to pull that off with the help of her parents, and then baby boy was actually announced at Thanksgiving, was when the whole family found out that she was pregnant. But we've been together for years, so I think an engagement was overdue. I think we're going on 5.
Wow.
So.
What's your fiance's name?
Sam.
And then do we have any idea on baby?
Isaiah.
Okay, that's awesome. Is Isaiah a family name, or where'd you come up with that one?
It's actually funny. Me and her, we always knew what our baby boy name was, like from the beginning. Even in like 2019, I think, was when we met.
Wow.
We knew like that year going into 2020, we were like, if we have a boy, it's Isaiah. So
wow.
We stuck with it.
That's pretty impressive. I've been lucky enough to have a couple kids, and the first one felt like we were just clueless until it was almost go time. And then the second one felt like we kind of settled on it early on, but neither were family names. We just kind of had, sounds like maybe something similar where it was like,
yeah, no
this
idea.
One sounds good.
And then also we were lucky because we were like hoping, we were like, please, a boy, because we had no idea for a girl name, not even the slightest. So we got really, really lucky.
Worked out. Do you have any siblings yourself?
I have 2 sisters and a brother.
Okay. So you kind of were surrounded by one of each kind, right, if you will.
Yeah, a little bit. It was more of the one sister and her brother were on my dad's side, so I had one sister with me growing up, and that was like my other person. So
yeah,
just her and me mostly.
Yeah. So both athletes, you and her?
She's like, she wants to be, but she's not super athletic at all. She's really, really, really smart, so she went that route. Yeah, sports, she tried for a little while, but I think that was more for me than her.
I'm sorry, you say older or younger than you?
She's older.
Okay. So were you trying to keep up with her early on?
No, she would bully me. So learning to fight back against that, and then being better than her athletically, she didn't like that at all. So I didn't really have to catch up to her in that aspect of it.
I imagine she takes credit for making you stronger in that regard then?
No, she just likes to let everybody know that she used to bully me. That's pretty much it.
You told me before we started taping that you're from Cincinnati, but you moved away pretty young. What was kind of your early on?
Well, I was born in Louisville, Kentucky, and I was there for a couple of years, and then I moved to Cincinnati and spent most of my time there. Kind of moved around to a bunch of different parts, but didn't really leave too far from the city. Big basketball city.
Kind of read my mind. I was going to ask you, like, paint the picture of the Cincinnati basketball scene. Like, what part of town were you at, and kind of how was basketball there?
I mean, I was all over AAU. I was in Avondale for a lot of it growing up. And then Avondale is not really, like, the nicest place, but super, super competitive. And then for school ball, I was at Lakota West High School. And that was, like, more relaxed and calm and better environment, but still good.
Nice. Do you have a great, like, pre-college basketball story that you go to, a memory that's pretty crisp in your mind?
Not a good one. I don't have, like a heavy-hearted or, like, a one that make you smile. Mine is more of, like, kind of a time where I was frustrated and irritated. Was my senior night. I spent that year kind of going through an injury, and you know, when you come back from injury and you like figure things out, you know, it's kind of slow. You start to figure things out, and then it gets towards the end of the season, and I'm not playing too much, and as a senior, your last night, you play a little bit or something. So my coach forgot to play me on senior night. And for the people who know my mom, she was not having that. So that's the memory I have. That game, just sitting there frustrated, and then her reaction at the end, I don't know if I would even say on camera it wasn't a good time.
Yeah, that's kind of a downer for sure. I'm intrigued. You're playing professional basketball, and we're going to get to your Salem Capitals experience.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get through your collegiate career, but it's surprising for someone to learn that a guy who's good enough to play at the level that the Capitals play was not getting a ton of minutes senior year of high school. What's going on?
Honestly, I wasn't very good. I was able to shoot the ball. I've always been able to shoot, but I didn't have every part of the game kind of together like I do now, and I got a lot better as years go on. I could always guard, always shoot, but just didn't have all the right pieces and wasn't performing the best in high school. So,
Still, you got to have something in you to have that want to continue to go. What was that reason that you kept pressing?
I just really loved basketball. Early on in life, I was a big football guy until about 6th, 7th grade, and I was I had to choose between one or the other. My mom was like, this is where it gets kind of start serious. And I was like, okay, I'll choose basketball. And then I stuck it out, got through high school, and then actually I went a prep year after high school, and that's when I kind of got a lot better really quickly.
You mentioned you've always loved basketball, or at least you had that shift, maybe football initially, but like I said, you always had that sweet spot for basketball. What attracted you to the game?
Honestly, probably watching basketball growing up. I watched a lot of Kobe, a lot of Derrick Rose. That era of basketball was fun to watch. I had posters all on my wall. I had Derrick Rose's shoes on my feet. So probably that. I just fell in love with watching it.
Yeah. Well, that's cool because, this is a long road, right? I'm going to ask you specifically about college in a moment, but how many years do you total that basketball has been something that you actively have done?
I would say from about 6th grade until today, it was basketball was my thing. I don't know how early I would have started actually playing and trying to little basket, a little dunk hoop thing. Maybe I had some of that. I don't remember much of it. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Do you have a favorite Kobe memory, favorite Rose memory?
Just the whole Derrick Rose MVP season was just fun to watch. That's the first thing that comes to mind. It's just so fearless. And that just always stuck with me.
He's got a tough story in the sense that you had the MVP season and then just the rest of that time was a rocky road.
Injuries can just change the course of somebody's career. I think the NBA is the biggest stage for people to see that, but that happens to everyone, even high school or college athletes.
Have you ever dealt with any injuries?
I dealt with, actually I have two really big ankles actually. I dealt with two separate ankle injuries. My sophomore year of junior college, I went to chase down block, and I landed on someone's foot, and it rolled outwards and inwards, and I was out. I was in a boot, and I ended up, funny thing, I've never done acupuncture before. I limped into the place, couldn't even put weight on my foot. I had crutches, and then by the time I was done, I walked out on 2 feet. I was I recommend to this day, I'm hey, try acupuncture, because I was 0% to 60% in a day.
That's nuts.
I couldn't believe it. I was what's going on?
And it persisted? You didn't have to go.
I still had to work my ankle back, but just being able to walk after limping in there or in crutches was just already 180. And then rehabbing it with my JUCO coach, which if you know any JUCO athletes or if anybody is in JUCO, there's not very much of a training system where it's just you, your coach, an ice bath or a bucket, and that's pretty much it.
How many ice baths did you take?
Too many, and I can't stand them.
Well, I was gonna say, because there's this cold plunge movement that you see online, and then I got folks like you who are listen, I don't want to go back in one of those ever again.
I will not do it unless my coach is hey, ice bath or run. I will not be in the ice bath. I can't do it.
you're talking about junior college. That's what I read in your bio is you started out there. Describe kind of post high school where you went.
Okay, so I bounced around a little bit. I went from Lakota West High School. I went to Shooting for Greatness Academy. It's in North Carolina. We played against a bunch of like top high schools or like preps, Oak Hill Academy, Hargraves Academy, like those schools. Kind of just it's like extended AAU with a little bit of school kind of. And that's where I was like super successful. That's probably my best statistical year. I was averaging like 27 and like 5 assists out there.
What do you attribute that to? Why did you have so much success there?
I think it was ultimately a good fit, and the coaching staff kind of like just spewed confidence into me, like on another level. And I was like, I felt almost invincible at that time. It was just, they believed in me so much, so I was like, why not?
Well, so then that opens up the discussion about coaching, right? You know, I hear people who talk about leadership, whether that's organizational leadership, just everyday professional work, those managers that find a way to connect with you and build you up, and then there's those managers who have the opposite effect, and then you and me might look at the same person and we have the exact different experience, right? What do you think? You know, I would love you to name these coaches or that coach who helped you there, and like what you thought about their leadership style that really gave you that confidence.
Well, there was Coach Salem. I'm pretty sure he's like from New York. I think that's just the culture over there is like basketball confidence and like just thinking that you are the guy that you want to be. And just hearing him talk about confidence and nothing to lose really kind of made it easier, at least in my head. It was like I'm going out there for someone who wants me to make mistakes and wants me to make big plays. So it's like that opportunity there going forward was like I can do this at the next level too, possibly. And then just keep going from there.
When you have a boost of confidence like that, we talked about kind of how you stuck with it, right? When maybe some others in your position would have quit. When you get that boost of confidence, how much did that kind of elevate all the hard work from there on? Like, did it make it easier just because you knew someone believed in you that much and you were seeing the result? Is that accurate?
I think because I was already a gym rat to start with, so the confidence kind of made me start working on things I didn't necessarily have in my game before. Him thinking that I was capable of certain things got me in the gym more, and I was like, if he believes in that and he wants me to do that, I should probably work on it. So I did, and then I got better overall as a player, and then I just each day stacking brick by brick.
I just love that story where you're like, he told me I should work on something, so I did. There's people who will do that with a resistant path, right? Where it's like, but when you have a guy who believes in you like that confidently, I imagine you welcome that, right? Yeah. Working on things to make you better.
Definitely.
Yeah.
100%.
I want to ask you about the Capitals coach, just because we had prior episode with KJ. Just because we're on the topic of coaches. So what do you get out of being a Capitals player and playing for him?
I remember this question because I saw a similar question. I saw Alan's version. Kev is just interesting. He's very he knows exactly what he wants, but he's not so much in that way that you can't work your way into doing what he's trying to do. Like, he has a culture that he preaches defense and rebounding and also good shot selection. And there's some tough shots to be shot that are not necessarily good shots, but he understands for certain people those are good shots. So you get a coach I think he's balanced because he talks about what he doesn't want, but he also doesn't take away confidence. So that's kind of important.
Alan said he tends to tell a lot of the same stories over and over.
I'll just stop you right there, 100%. He'll probably walk in a couple minutes and tell me a story about something I already know.
Have you ever finished the sentences for him at this point?
No, okay. Alan rode a lot with him in the car, so he got a little more
sample size is bigger.
Yeah. But if he starts telling me something about that I've already heard, I'll be like, "Oh, I think you told me that," and he'll laugh it off.
I only got to do 2 games last year, so my sample size myself of seeing Coach is not huge, but it was on the heels of him getting best dressed. Evaluate your coach's style.
I mean, that's different. Everybody's got their own look. I mean, if he's confident in it, I don't think he necessarily has a bad look with his fits. So it's getting him. I mean, he should have got it best dressed more than once,
right,
if he did. But I mean, hey, if he likes it, good for him.
I just segued into coaches just because we're on that topic, but you were mentioning you're kind of on this upswing, and then we went to community college. Is that what happened at that point?
Went to prep and then went to Clarendon College. It's in Clarendon, Texas, super small. Like the whole town is like a mile long at max. You got like a Dollar General and a Pizza Hut and like I want to say Food Lion, but that could be wrong. That's
Pizza Hut probably had a lunch buffet though. I mean, all those small town Pizza Huts where I grew up, had a lunch buffet.
And then you had like a gas station that had like the little fruit, the like the little rotisserie food and stuff like that. Yep.
Yes.
But yeah, super small college town. What else about Clarendon? Very, very college town. They support the team very heavily. Always pretty good. National JUCO. When I was there, we were ranked in the country. That's just another part of being better. That's probably the best, honestly, even at this level, probably still the best competition of basketball I've ever played was JUCO.
That's really cool to hear because I think unless you have familiarity with junior college, I think people can discount that level.
Because not a lot of people know the difference between, there's like smaller JUCOs and then there's national JUCOs. And the national JUCOs get all of the D1 bounce backs and the All-Americans who don't have the grades to go to school. Like, you get all the talent in the world and then you put them on one team because you can. And then the conference I'm in the best conference in the country. That conference has 5 teams ranked nationally every year. So,
How does having that level of competition? Man, you are really in a stair-step kind of story, right? Where it was down here, didn't play senior day, and then just start working your way up. How does playing against that level of competition, like, shape you?
I think it helps you get better later, I guess. Not later, but sooner, and then later in life, you're prepared for, like, something like this. It was still new to me, but once I get my footing, it's kind of like, I've been here before almost. JUCO was tough. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So much talent. Just like walking into JUCO, I was like on my high horse because I was like the guy at prep school. I'm like, I average 27. These guys aren't that good. And then I get there and I was like, I was struggling at first. It kind of hit me and I was like, okay, I gotta get back to my old ways, stay in the gym, watch a little film. Then JUCO will teach you about yourself real quick, for sure.
Was there a particularly hard moment? Were you ever close to getting out?
Like leaving JUCO?
Yeah.
My first 2 weeks there, that's when... So JUCO rosters are a little different, especially my JUCO. You sign like 22, but you're only playing 12 or rostering 12. So that first 2 weeks, you're fighting for a roster spot. And my first week and a half, I was not that guy at all. I was not performing very well. I was getting my butt kicked. People were just either they were more experienced or just playing better. And then the second half of the second week, I couldn't miss a shot. And my coach was like, he literally said this. He said, you've been actually terrible, but we cannot get rid of somebody that is making shots at that rate. And I was like, hey, just give me a chance.
At least it's honest, I suppose.
My coach, Coach Isaac, most stern, straightforward coach you will ever meet.
I'm going to get the chance over the course of the season to talk to you more about your basketball, so I do want to advance the story a little bit, but describe what happened out at JUCO really quick that kind of led you to the end of college.
To go to Western?
Yeah.
I stayed there for 2 years, and then I went to a JUCO All-American Showcase camp, and I played for, I believe it was Coach Jamestown of Western Oregon, and they brought me out on a visit out there. I also had a couple other schools, but something about that Western visit just felt different. It felt like more homey, And my mom was like 100% on board with that. So you can't really, it's kind of hard to go against something like that. So I ended up signing the papers and committing, and then I came out here after 2 years of JUCO. So I went from Cincinnati to North Carolina to Texas to Oregon, and I've been here ever since.
You didn't want to sign a 1 year opportunity to play in Maine or something like that? You could have got all the corners.
I should have went somewhere and just tried it out.
Tell me more about your mom. You've mentioned her twice, the senior night, and then you know what mom liked about Monmouth and going out to Western. What kind of person's your mom?
My mom is, I would say she's a character. She's super feisty, but also very, very sweet. I mean, caring. Most people would say their parents are caring, but really selfless in a lot of ways. And I think always has my best interest in heart and would never tell me to not do something if I felt like it was the best thing for me to do. I think that was the most important part. And she was, growing up, she's a single mother, so that's kind of like my backbone. There's days where obviously we don't get along, but you always remember the hard times and the good times. So
this break was pretty fun for me because my daughter's getting older. She's 13, gonna be 14 this year, and she was off doing an overnight thing for what she's good at, which is band. She's an outstanding flute player, and I messaged a friend of mine whose daughter is now at Eastern Arizona playing JUCO basketball, a D1 caliber women's basketball player, and he shared a note that she wrote him as she left to go back to school, and it talks about almost like exactly what you described in the sense of like there was more good times than bad, there was more support, but there was times where it got you know, you got pushed and you got out of your comfort zone and there were arguments, right?
Yep.
I ask all of that especially because on the heels of us talking about, you know, about to become a parent and all that, like how much of who you are today do you attribute to your mom?
I think a lot has to do with her and also just the environment. I kind of matured a little earlier than most probably, and I think it was a good thing. Yeah, just seeing her being a single mother, I was like, growing up, there wasn't anything that I wouldn't do for her, and I feel that about my family, and I felt that she would also feel that way about me. So it's like, growing up, that's something I took away. I would do anything for my son that's on the way, my fiance, my family, anyone. So.
Is she already a grandma?
Is she already a grandma? Yeah, my sister has a boy and a girl, actually.
Okay, so she gets now one from you. That's pretty cool.
Yep, she stole that one from me.
Hey, she had the advantage. She was the older sister, so.
Yeah, she probably did it on purpose.
Still bullying you all these years later.
All the time.
What's your mom's name?
Taria, or Shay. She goes by Shay.
Has she seen you play in Salem?
Mm-hmm. She's been out here a few times.
Yeah, is she coming out this year?
She should be.
Yeah, yeah. Describe one reason that we're out in the Armory, you know, with open gym about to start and you're going to go play, is I want to show this place off because Capitals are going into their fourth season, very successful. There's been games in here that the environment is everything you want it to be. There's hope to make it even a bigger staple of March to May sports fans in the Capitals. So I bring all that up is, what do you enjoy about your Capitals experience most?
I think the community is like the best part of Salem. I know we're community culture and I'm supposed to say that, but it's just different here. I come from community, it's like small town community, college, and like Western Oregon is heavily community. So when I came here, I was like, community will probably be nice, but you get here and it's like, this place is rocking all the time. Even on our low count days where there's not like as many people there as there usually would be, it's so loud, so much energy. The kids, they're going crazy. We got a dance team now. Like, there's so many things going on. It's just, it's a blessing to really play in front of the Salem crowd, because if you go around the TBO and you look, there's no other support anywhere close to it.
Yeah. That's credit to Jason. It's credit to the community
100%.
for sure. What do you tell people about when you describe Jason Conrad to others?
Did you say? What'd you say? Sorry.
What do you say about Jason when you tell others about him?
Oh, Jason's just like a bundle of energy, and he's like fully 100% selfless, and then just I don't know, he's just like a real stand-up guy, and he really means what he says. So if he comes up to you and he's like, our team is about culture and we're going to present that, that's all he preaches and that's all he talks about to us. When he's out in the community, he's a huge community guy. Clearly, I mean, you see what he's built in the last couple of years. He's always in the community. I really love that about him.
What are your aspirations for this season of Capitals basketball?
I think I'm trying to make a leap. I think I might have a bigger role this year. I've always had the goal of being an all-star. So if I get in position to where I can make that happen, that'll be the goal. But each year really is about just getting better to me, better than my previous year. If you ask any of the guys, that's like one of the things I always say. If you played your last year's self one-on-one, who would win? And it's like, that's how you know you got better.
I love that question. I've never heard that.
Yeah, I always tell that, especially Mo. I'm sure you know who Mo is.
Yeah.
I tell him that. Zay. It's really just a mental thing.
What I like about that is it's easy to visualize, right? You can talk about growth year over year in a lot of ways. Stats are one of the easiest ways, but it doesn't have a feel to it per se, right? You can look at it, it's more analytical.
Yeah.
But you can imagine the player you were a year ago.
You know exactly who you were a year ago, and you know what you did in the offseason to add to that. So me, last year, I'm not the strongest guy. I've been in the weight room a little bit. I've got my pace figured out. So I think those are important for being able to say that I got better.
In the gym, what's the easiest part of your routine, and what's the hardest part when you're going to hit the weights and such?
I can't stand leg workouts. I can't stand them. That's always the hardest part, no matter what the variation, what the exercise. I enjoy shoulder exercises the most, so.
I have some notes. I'm probably not going to get to them all, but I noticed we said favorite food is steak.
Yep, still to this day.
But then our favorite restaurant, maybe fast food, is Subway? You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm picturing a ribeye over here, and then I'm picturing like the chopped up steak at Subway.
Well, if you could tell me, where would you get a good fast food steak from?
Well, right.
And so I make mine at home myself.
Okay, so are you getting the steak at Subway, or you got a different order at Subway? Maybe it was pregame meal is what I think you might have said.
It might have been pregame meals. So I remember that, yeah. I think that was probably, it's called The Boss now.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the meatball marinara, but elevated.
Yeah, that's my kids' favorite sandwich.
Really?
I like that meatball marinara, but elevated.
That's pretty much how you explain it.
Yeah. Okay, but you do cook your own steak then. Tell me more about that. I'm more interested in that.
You mean like the process, or?
Yeah, I mean, are we just unwrapping it and throwing it on the grill, or like
No.
you know how to cook a steak?
You gotta cook.
You did spend time in Texas and some places that are pretty good at it.
Most of my cooking came from my mom.
Okay.
But she didn't get credit for the steak, though. That's me.
That's all you? All right, I gotta hear it. I'm a steak guy myself.
So you don't want to just take it out and throw it on the skillet. I mean, you could, but it won't be that great. You want to kind of let it rest a little bit, get your pan nice and hot, oil the pan, make sure you got your seasonings on your steak, and then you want to char it on both sides, let it cook down a little bit, and then towards the end you want to baste it with like butter or some you think I know what I'm talking about.
I am a horrible cook. I did try to be like a grill master, right? Horrible at making steaks on an actual like barbecue outside. So then I was watching some guy on Instagram, and he showed how to butter baste a steak. I'm like, that looks cool.
It was it's the best part of it. Makes it 10 times better.
It's so good.
And then you got to let it rest at the end.
But so much flavor that comes out of that.
So much.
What's the cut of meat that you go to?
What's the cut?
Yeah. Like ribeyes, or are you doing strip, or do you have a preference?
I think, what was it, New York strip?
Yeah, that sounds right. Okay. We might have to have a cooking segment with you or something
that.
Yeah,
we might have to do that.
Okay.
I might not make steak. I might have to make something else.
What else you got on your menu?
I have a whole book of stuff.
Look at you.
From my mother, my sweet mother. I have a book of like 100+ recipes.
But is it stuff that she assembled for you? Like some handwritten stuff in there?
She should have a restaurant. She makes all of it. She wrote it down, each page, hand by hand. I have to show it to you.
I need you to at least send me a picture.
I can't show you the recipes. I'll show you the cover though.
Are we talking secrets? Family
It's not
secrets?
secret, but
Okay.
I'm holding on to it.
Okay. What's the go-to in that book? Like, can you give me?
Oh, number one, page one, first item, macaroni and cheese.
Okay.
Mac and cheese. Baked.
Really?
Baked.
Okay. All right. Last one that I got for you. I'm pulling out my notes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Jolly Ranchers. What's the go-to Jolly Rancher?
Cherry or watermelon.
Okay.
But to be fair, that answer I switched up because I have a good reason. Jolly Ranchers you can buy at any store. My favorite candy is actually Chewy Spree, and you can only find those at like Circle K.
Right. You know where I had the most sprees in my life? Watching the high school kids play basketball when I was in junior high. There were sprees all over the place.
You get the original hard ones. I don't want the hard ones.
No, I like the chewy ones too, yes.
One.
All right, I'll be finding you some chewy sprees every stop I go. And last one, favorite animals. Dogs was in all caps. Your dogs?
I don't have any dogs,
Okay.
but I grew up with a little puppy. His name was Jazz. He actually lives with my grandma now.
Okay.
And then I just always had like a big love for dogs. Cap and Salem, the little puppies that run around. Not little anymore, but love them to death.
That's awesome. You think, while you're sitting down here, I'm just curious, your proximity to basketball is so close, right? You probably got like a routine you usually do, and I got you, 10 minutes to start or something like that, maybe right now. Is it killing you?
No.
Okay.
For open gym, it's not as serious. I just got a couple of things I do to warm up. But if it was game time, I would need like a good little chunk.
Point at your watch for me.
Yeah, I'd be like, all right.
All right.
But no, we're good.
Pleasure to meet you.
Oh, you as well.
Good luck this year.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome.